Japan, 1985s. Beneath the flickering neon lights of a bustling Tokyo, 30-year-old Hideki worked at a small bookstore tucked away in the shadows of a quiet back alley. The shop, crammed with dusty books and dimly lit by buzzing fluorescent lights, rarely saw customers, save for a few night owls or peculiar visitors. Hideki's life was a monotonous loop, an endless cycle of work and solitude. He lived alone in a lifeless apartment, haunted by a past he preferred to keep buried. But this week, something felt off. A heavy, oppressive air seemed to envelop the shop. Lights flickered unpredictably, and faint whispers echoed through the aisles when no one was around. One evening, as the clock struck 10:45 p.m., 15 minutes before closing, a strange customer entered. He wore a long, crimson coat that looked decades out of style, and a pristine white mask that completely obscured his face. Startled by the man's unusual appearance, Hideki mustered his politest tone. "Good evening. Can I help you with something?" The man didn't respond immediately. Instead, he wandered the shelves, his footsteps creaking on the wooden floor. After a few moments, he approached the counter and placed a yellowed piece of paper on it. Hideki glanced at the page. It seemed torn from an old newspaper and bore a chilling headline. "A Ghost in the Restroom. The Curse of Aka Manto." A cold shiver ran down Hideki's spine. He recognized the name. Memories long suppressed began to stir. Playground rumors, terrifying dares, and his own childhood fear of the school's infamously haunted restroom. The man in the crimson coat turned and disappeared into the aisles. When Hideki rose to follow him, he found the store eerily empty. The strange man had vanished. Moments later, the lights flickered violently and went out, plunging the store into darkness. A low, chilling whisper broke the silence. "Red or blue, Hideki?" Heart pounding, Hideki called out into the void. "Who's there? Show yourself." From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was the man in the crimson coat, but his mask was gone. What lay beneath was a face horribly deformed, with empty sockets where eyes should have been and a grotesque grin that stretched unnaturally wide. "Don't you remember me?" the figure asked, its voice calm but laced with malice. Suddenly, images from Hideki's childhood flooded his mind. He saw himself as a boy, mocking a classmate who was shunned by everyone. That boy had vanished after being locked in the school restroom as part of a cruel prank. Hideki had heard his cries for help, but had done nothing. Now, staring at the figure before him, Hideki realized with mounting horror who this was, or what it had become. "You remember now, don't you?" the spirit whispered. "No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to," Hideki stammered, tears streaming down his face. The figure stepped closer. "Red or blue?" Hideki panicked, recalling the urban legend. Choosing red meant a violent death, his body torn until it was soaked in blood. Choosing blue meant suffocation, his skin turning a ghastly shade. I refuse to choose," Hideki shouted, desperation in his voice. The spirit's grotesque grin widened. "Very well, then you'll relive this night. Forever." The walls of the bookstore began to distort, the shelves warping as if melting into the floor. Suddenly, Hideki found himself back behind the counter, the clock once again reading 10:45 p.m. The bell above the door chimed, and the man in the crimson coat entered once more. From that night forward, Hideki was trapped in a relentless time loop, doomed to face Aka Manto again and again. Each encounter chipped away at his sanity, as he became a prisoner of his own guilt and fear. The bookstore remains open, though no one dares enter. Only the faint whispers of Aka Manto echo through its darkened aisles, a haunting reminder that some sins of the past can never be escaped.